TVGrace presents Tracing Summaries 2021. The ineffable words of God that over-edify us and lead us towards the great transformation.
And it was allowed to make war on the saints. And what? And to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe, people, language, and nations. Are there many nations? Well, that beast was allowed to make war against the saints, and conquer them. That's weird. To overcome a saint, it would be normal, a wicked one or a sinner, but to overcome a saint, beast means a man. In the Hebrew, the word beast says they shall die as beasts, speaking of men, because man in the flesh is as a beast. That's why Paul sometimes says, now the animal man does not understand the things of the spirit. The modern version changed it a little bit, not to cause any wrong to the human race, says the natural man. But the animal man can't perceive the things of the spirit. Well, then the animals, when they don't understand the things, imagine an animal don't understand. Now this animal spoke, that is different to others, because it says that the beast spoke. The image spoke. This is to say, it was a man, a good understander with few words. Notices that it's speaking of a man because he was given authority above all nations. Imagine a beast overcoming the nations. An animal. Who's going to lend attention to an animal? Speaking of a man that was given power to. Naturally, John comes from symbolism, and John could not understand how can someone overcome the saints. It's also as Daniel repeated and spoke. Daniel said, it is a beast because it wanted to change the covenant and change the law. Definitely the change had to take place. A new covenant was coming. But Daniel, since he didn't understand, said, this is a beast because he's trying to take the covenant of Moses from us. Of course, we have to snatch it up and change it. And it says this in Daniel 7:21, the same thing that it says in Revelation. And Daniel said, I saw and didn't understand. You see how the nations judge me? They think that I am evil, right? Why? Because they are accustomed to a certain thing. Well, Daniel and John, since they were accustomed to the law of Moses, when Christ was presented, they said, this is a beast. This can't be Christ. Look at what Daniel says. And I watched the horn. Now he calls it a horn. Was waging war against the saints. And what was he doing? Prevailing against them. So John says, no, this is tremendous. Now, why do we have to overcome the saints? Who can separate us from the love of Christ? The beast? The beast? No, how is it going to separate you? If he's coming to overcome you as a sleeping saint who is in apostasy, to awaken you inside, that's a warfare. It ain't a warfare of armor. It's a warfare against your mind to bring you to the covenant. That's right. You're going to see it clearly now. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Tribulations, trouble, hardship, persecution, famine, nakedness, danger, sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. In all these things, it says what? That we are more than conquerors. But it says that the beast is going to overcome the saints. Look at what it says in Luke chapter 18, verse 8. So you can understand how those saints were going to be, their condition. when the man Christ Jesus was to appear for a second time. Look at their condition. I tell you, he will see that they get justice. And quickly, however, when the Son of Man comes, not Jesus of Nazareth, not the risen one, but the third veil, the Son of Man, it is to say a man that was going to be the son of a mother and a father. Jesus of Nazareth couldn't be the son of Joseph because then he could not die for the sins of man. He was the Son of God. He wasn't the Son of Man. He was the Son of the Spirit of God. But the Son of Man could be of a mother and a father in that third manifestation. These evangelicals are so far behind because they think that Jesus of Nazareth, that same one from Galilee, so they're waiting for that one, the blonde one from Galilee. He wasn't blonde. But they're waiting for that veil to come today. No, what's coming today is this same Jesus that sent God with us is going to be manifest in another veil as the Son of Man. Now, when the Son of Man cometh, look at the next verse. But when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? If he would not find faith, what did he find? What is contrary to faith? Apostasy. So then I arrived and I looked and I heard all the schools of interpretation you can imagine. And there was no faith. What they were works. Mass, works, sacrifices, ceremonies. It's not faith. Because faith is the certitude of those things expected, the conviction of what's not seen. And they live by what's seen. That's not faith. So then, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? But will he find chosen ones? Yes, but without faith. So then the Son of Man was coming to wage war against those saints to save them. To save them from what? Spiritually? No, because the blood of Jesus saved them spiritually. The Son of Man is coming to save you with the gospel, to save you from yourself so you can live reigning in life here on earth. To save you from your vain way of thinking and to change yourself into the mind of Christ. Paul prophesied it. Book of Acts 20:29. Look at what Paul said when he announced his departure. When he knew he was going to die in Rome and they were going to kill him, he said, look at what's going to happen to you. Because I know the apostle knew this. Take notes. So when you're asked, because I know that after my departure, not the departure of all, but my departure personally, after I disappear, everything is going to finish because Peter didn't know grace. John didn't know grace. The apostles didn't know grace. What they know is the gospel of circumcision, and that's not faith, that's works. Those 11 apostles, when Christ died, their work expired, ended. That all finished because they had another gospel. A new gospel was coming, that of the uncircumcision, and that was only possessed by Paul, and Paul was rejected. The worst enemies of Paul were the apostles. Look at what it says, the apostle, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together with him. To gather, you need a body. Hello. In the coming of Christ, and you see him here as we are gathered here Wednesday. Yes, because if there's a gathering, and if there's a gathering, it's because you knew him already. You were with him before, and now you're going to gather. Well, we plead, brethren, that you're not quickly shaken in your way of thinking, your mind, nor to be troubled, neither by spirit, if they do signs and they heal the sick and speak tongues. Don't be confused with that. Nor by word. Be careful how they speak to you. Nor by letter, as if by us. They're saying they're going to write letters. Listen, 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 1st, 2nd, 3rd of John, James, Jude, and Revelation. These letters are coming. They're going to write letters that are not mine. Those are from circumcision. My letters are from Romans to Hebrews. If you don't know that, you know nothing. Neither by letter as if by us. They're not ours. It's their letters they're going to write. And with soft words and flattering sermons, they deceive the hearts of the naive in that in which they say that the coming of the Lord is near. No one should deceive you, because he's not coming in any way until the apostasy what? Shall have come first, and that man is manifest. The man that preaches that there is sin is revealed. All the men preach of sin. A man of sin is not only one man. A man of sin is a gender of people that represent people as if they were sinners, or that there is sin in the church. The son of perdition. It won't happen until the apostasy comes first. What does apostasy mean? To separate from. So in the Greek, it says to separate from danger, to separate yourself from fire. But in this case, it's to separate yourself from faith. And what does Luke say when he comes? He's going to find faith? No, he found a church in apostasy. The doctrine of Catholicism is a doctrine of apostasy. The Protestants, they're all in apostasy. You can name them all. So then, let's look to Hebrews 5:14. But solid food is for the mature. We are exercising our thoughts to get to that place of maturity, solid food. For those that have reached solid food, who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern what? Both good and evil. So we have exercised quite a bit in the discernment of good, that we're complete, we're perfect, we're chosen, we're predestined, we're blessed. Well, the veil was removed. We've been exercising the good and have taken authority over that. We know that sin was removed. Even our children respond to the press correctly regarding good. Now, the discernment of good and evil. Now, on the evil side of things, I've had to grow, because I didn't come growing. I came as you came. This, I'm not speaking to you in the level of a teacher, but as something I want to share. I've suffered, because how can I exercise the discernment of evil if I don't suffer through it? Here I am not scolding or teaching. I'm rather sharing with you, because we make so many mistakes on account of the flesh because of the lack of knowledge of evil. When you make a bad decision, that decision makes you make another bad decision. Then you don't know how to deal with it. So then you have to understand that when you do something bad, you have to confront it. No, I did it wrong. And if your wife or anyone, oh, well, I'm wrong, help me out. Continue to love me and help me while I correct myself, but I'm wrong. Okay? I want to progress. I want to do better. I have a body that doesn't help me much, but I'm beginning to know the discernment and exercising evil. The Satan that Jose Luis brings upon him, that's called darkness. Satan means the absence of light. You're not going to continue thinking of a devil with tridents and things. No, he was a precious angel. And he was obedient until wickedness was found in him. He was obedient. Everything was going well. So then you are a precious angel also. But remember that darkness in you, it makes you make many mistakes. So the desires of the flesh that are so rich for the flesh, right? And they start working and they wrap you around and forget about it. And then you feel so bad that if you have no one that loves you beside you and understands you and forgive you and gives you a little love, no, don't worry. I know you're a good man. It's just that you are wrapped up, entangled. This battle is not easy. Listen, here we can speak that way. In those churches out there, everything is Here we do not pretend. Here you can't be pretending. Here the word is going to cut you, be it me or whoever it is. We have to walk with the truth. Abba, Father. That you can be honest with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your brother, with him, with her. Listen, don't confide in this flesh. I may appear some way, but don't confide. What I need is knowledge and cast out darkness and to set a straight path before me. So the lame does not what? Turn away, turn out of its way. They're not saying that you are a holy roller. They're calling you lame because God only calls the lame to the kingdom. What you have to do is buy a good clutch and listen. And here, the canes are free here. But you can't continue stumbling on the same huff. Imagine. You have to understand that everyone here is trying to grow, and God calls the lame and the weak. Know that we are in the true church. That's where the true patients arrive, to the true church. This is the hospital. And we can help each other and grow. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you see that the person is trying. No, let me try again. Let me continue. That's the idea. If not, you're going to continue growing in grace from here to heaven. I am blessed. I am complete. Delivered from Satan. So then, and continue to stumble. I've always behaved well. Always, all of my life in the law. When I understood grace, But it isn't that I behave well. Listen to me well. Evil is not in what you do. I behaved well because I was afraid to go to hell. So then Satan, it's a newspaper of yesterday, destroyed. The only power he has is the one you give him. That is why Paul says, don't give place to the devil, but the place you give it to the devil. Don't give him place with your concupiscence, your weakness. Second letter to Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should take advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his schemes. You read that verse there, and they say, look at him, he's alive and crawling and kicking. But if you read 3 verses before that, the context, look at verse 8. Look at verse 8. Remember Titus, that he was caught in adultery with his stepmom. Back then, things like that would happen. That's why today this problem exists with polygamy. Those people that want to trace and put emphasis on the old path. So in this case, Titus had made a mistake. So the Corinthians, which were very carnal, he didn't write to them as spiritual people. They were belittling him for his mistake because he had been restored. So Paul says, I beg you that you reaffirm your love for him. For this is why I wrote, that I might test you and know whether you are obedient in everything. When you forgive this man, I forgive him too. If I have forgiven anything, it is for the sake of you in the person of Christ, so that no advantage would be taken of us by Satan. You see, how does Satan take advantage when you don't forgive a brother and you want to destroy him because you find out of one of his weakness? You have given advantage to Satan. You know why? Because in the aspect of that there are angels that are looking at your conduct towards your brother, mistreating others and not forgiving. So then when you judge in that way, that person you judge has his angel also. And that angel will make you go through some stuff that you can't even figure it out. You don't know why you're going through what you're going through, and it's because you mistreated someone in the past, and you hurt someone, and you stepped all over them, and you hurt them. So then those things, sometimes the angels, and your angel is defending you, but there has to be a fair retribution. You can't, just because no one sees you. Remember what I said, that discernment of evil is iniquity, to machination, and premeditation. Because you don't do something out of the blue, you first think about it. And something, that little voice tells you, be careful there. So then you forgive yourself. No, it's okay. Erase that. So then suddenly you go and you begin to machinate. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call. I'm going there. I'm going here. And you begin to fabricate that machination. So then when you get to the intent, remember when Jesus says, Moses said, with committing adultery, you should be stoned and you're guilty. But I say, because a new covenant was coming, with just desiring her in your heart, or desire him, with desiring him or her in your mind, you have committed it. Why? Because you've already fabricated the iniquity. The intent is what's needed to be executed. Now, to think about it brings consequences. And when you execute it, other consequences. This, with the grace of God, is something else. Let's go to the legalistic church in the corner. The world divides the times like this: before the cross and after the cross. That is the way they divide dates. But before Christ, many centuries had gone by, but that was the present evil century, because Moses was the one that headed those centuries. That's why the psalmist would speak about the centuries of centuries, because many centuries had gone by, but that was the present century that was evil. Number one, because Satan was standing. Satan was in effect. Number two, the law was enforced, accusing you. It was a ministry of death, the law. And three, sin was present. But then the great day of the Lord came. That's what the prophets prophesied. And what was the great day of the Lord? That when God became flesh, he went to the cross, he was resurrected, destroyed the devil, put an end to the law, and removed sin forever. As soon as Christ was resurrected, we entered the goods of the age to come. But the only one that knew that was Paul. The only one that knew that was Paul. Paul was the one that had the information of the coming age, but he was not believed, because his phraseology was not baptized with Moses. To the contrary, when they asked him, what do you think of Moses and of the commandments? He said, I was number one in that, blameless. And now what happened to you? But once I was raptured to paradise and they gave me information, that's a ministry of death. That you dare refer to Moses that way, that's not only death, that is condemnation. That you speak about Moses in that way? John, Peter, James, look at what this man thinks of what we love. And not only that it's a ministry of death, not only that it's of condemnation, but I have it as manure. You know what's manure? Can't say that word here. It's the crap that the animals digest after they eat. That you have that as manure, but that is the evil century in which Christ delivered us from on the cross. How are you going to continue with the law, continue keeping rudiments with Moses? If that's exactly for which Christ came to die on the cross of Calvary, to deliver us from sin, to deliver us from the devil. But there were men that were very perverse, that the Lord called them the prince of this world, that opposed Paul's message. Paul called those the ministry of iniquity within the church. No one knew about that. Who would have thought that the 11 apostles headed the ministry of iniquity? Pastor. But those are the heroes of the religious system of today. That is why that system is living in the present evil century. Where's the obstacle? The obstacle is here in Ephesians 6:12. Look at it here. And with this, the church out there is confused. They don't understand this verse. But what happened? For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age. And who were those rulers and principalities? The apostles, people in a position of authority, a herald. That was the battle that exists. Principalities. Yeah, but Pastor, there it says in heavenly places. Sure, we are seated in heavenly places. Look at what it says. Against rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. It doesn't say in heaven, it says in the heavenly places. That means where we are seated together with him in heavenly places. Here, where we are seated in heavenly places with Christ, there is where these principalities and rulers are. The church thinks that those are a ton of demons that are loose in the airs that are watching the believers like this, like a gang of demons. Pastor, and those services, because here the services are different. Here there is order. We speak the hidden wisdom that was given to our glory. And those churches that begin to jump and they begin to fall on the floor in the name of Jesus, those are centers of witchcraft. Pastor, in those services that they begin to, let the power of God be manifest. And all of a sudden they begin to. Those are manifestations of the flesh that God allows, so they continue in confusion because they have mocked God's great day on the cross. They have devaluated the blood of Calvary. They have confronted the Spirit of grace. And what is the Spirit of grace? The powers of the coming age. They've confronted it. They affronted it. You see them out there. Miami has demons. Don't worry. I cover myself with the blood of Jesus. It's not to cover yourself from demons. No. It was to remove sin. The blood of Jesus covers me. What is it going to cover for you from? From what? If you've already been covered and you're complete, you lack nothing, what do you need to keep covering? The only coverage you have here is that of the angels. if they are not in sorcery, because the coverage of the angels doesn't cover sorcerers. Sorcerers are not covered by angels. They're there with, oh, that I felt, I feel a chill, that I heard. Man, that comes from the flesh. You have to be very careful because your flesh is diabolic. And your flesh can confuse you. That is why there are so much commercial done with this. You've seen that? Everything that's not grace and this covenant, Paul considers it doctrine of the flesh. Understand grace and preach grace according to the new covenant, according to the power of the age to come. I am preaching a doctrine of demons. That's why Paul says, I am the first of this class of the power of the age to come. I, Paul, was the first to preach the goods from that coming age. So he points it out. He says their understanding was veiled, because till this day when they read the old covenant, the same veil is placed upon them that through Christ is removed. And even till today, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their hearts. I have a name for Moses soon. Let's continue reading. So as they read Moses, the veil is upon their hearts, upon their spirit, their mind. They're veiled. But when they convert to the Lord, but Pastor, the apostles were converted to the Lord. No. The Lord is the Spirit. It isn't Jesus of Nazareth. Hey! Jesus of Nazareth couldn't save no one. Could he have saved? No, he had to die. And after he died, he saved. But before, no. Before, what he did was heal, doing miracles, and then he would feel pity for them. They're like sheep without a shepherd, because he wasn't the shepherd yet. He could not save before the cross, but the Spirit, it says, which is the Lord. They say when they convert to the Lord, the veil shall be removed, because the Lord is what? The Spirit. Hello. The Lord wasn't the flesh, Jesus of Nazareth. Who is God in me? What you see or what I have inside? My spirit, my flesh. This doesn't submit to the law of God. Therefore, the Lord is the Spirit. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Therefore, we all, having been unveiled in face, beholding in a mirror the glory of God, we are transformed from glory to glory in the same image as in the Spirit of the Lord. God wants to utilize you. When you speak to a companion, when someone sees, not that you're perfect, but when someone sees how you proceed, how you're proceeding, how you treat and deal with things, in the way that you conduct yourself, someone has to notice that, how you're living. Not the way you comb yourself or what powder you use. That's flesh. It's a way you proceed, how you treat others in your job. There is something people have to notice in you. That is a conduct in the way you proceed, and we have to occupy ourselves in that, because people sooner or later are going to say why you are the way you are. I've noticed that the way you conduct yourself is different. Because, listen to me, if you're not bearing fruit, you are eating the letter. If you're still a person that's rude and mistreat others, and you're swinging punches and hurting people, especially your family members, there's something wrong there. Grace has not been established appropriately. I believe that I am in the truth by the fruit that this grace produces in me, because I can't hurt people. I have to treat my neighbor right, especially those that are close to me. Because you know that there are people that love those from the outside, but those inside the house, they mistreat them. Oh, my wife, I treat her like a piece of rug. But outside, you've seen the wives that says, he's marvelous with everyone, but not with me. because there are people that haven't been formed yet. But that is where it's good. Listen there, if you are good within your house, you're going to be great outside. Listen, sometimes there are exceptions. There are things that sometimes grace uncovers, and then, well, sometimes there's separations. Things that have to happen, but when you put your feet and place them on the earth, you are in peace. You have to have self-dominion. What is self-dominion? Self-dominion that dominates the devil, dominates the flesh. You have to see changes in you, because in the power of the century to come, the word is sharper than a two-edged sword, and it penetrates. Oh, that sword likes to penetrate. It doesn't sit on the side being sharpening. What it's looking is for a moment to penetrate, and begins to discern. And it loves for you to be alone. It loves for you to spend time with you alone. Hours and hours. If you hear the mind of Christ speaking, the mind of Christ is say, don't pick up the phone now. I want you alone. I want to deal with you directly. Today that you didn't go to work, that you are sick and you don't know why you're sick and you're laying there, it's where the mind of Christ begins to deal with you. Hello. That's where he begins to deal with you. There's people that don't know how to be alone. The important is to be alone when the mind of Christ grabs you and asks you, why are you doing this and that? And it begins to ask you questions. And then it peels you. Well, it's a two-edged sword. It peels you. Sometimes it even bothers you. Oh, please don't ask me that now. Leave me alone. Okay, I'll ask you tomorrow. No, not tomorrow neither. And he's patient, because he that begun the work in you will perfect it.